The High Court has sentenced MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchi-Bosiako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, to 20 years imprisonment with hard labor after convicting him on illegal mining-related offences in the Samirboy case. He was also fined 10,000 penalty units, which is equivalent to 120,000 Ghana cedis, with a 3-year default prison term if he fails to pay. The custodial sentences will run concurrently, but despite public references to illegal mining or galamsey, this case was not about Wontumi personally mining inside a forest reserve. The prosecution's case was far more specific. The case centered on Akonta Mining Company Limited, a company controlled by Chairman Wontumi, which owns a legally acquired mining concession around Samirboy in the Western region. According to the Attorney General, police launched a major anti-galamsey operation in April 2025 within Akonta Mining's concession. During the operation, officers arrested 29 people, including site supervisor Michael Ayisi-Jedu, and seized 25 serviceable excavators, firearms, suspected gold, vehicles, motorcycles, cash, and other equipment allegedly being used for mining activities. Investigators said Michael Ayisi-Jedu identified Henry Okum as a person supervising the mining operation. Henry Okum was later arrested and, according to prosecutors, admitted that in September 2024, he approached Chairman Wontumi for permission to mine within Akonta Mining's concession. The Attorney General alleged that Wontumi granted that permission even though the Minerals and Mining Act requires a prior written approval of the minister responsible for mines before a mineral right can be assigned to another person permitted to mine under an existing concession. The prosecution also alleged that Wontumi instructed that proceeds from the mining be used to finance reclamation works. Those allegations form the basis of the 6 charges. The first 3 counts accuse Chairman Wontumi, his alleged co-director Kwame Enchi, who remains at large, and Akonta Mining Company Limited of assigning mineral rights without prior written approval of the minister responsible for mines. The remaining 3 counts accuse them of intentionally facilitating unlicensed mining by allowing Henry Okum and Michael Ayisi-Jedu to mine within Akonta Mining concession without the legal authority required under the Minerals and Mining Act. So why did the judge convict him? Justice Audrey Kokovite spent much of this morning analyzing the prosecution's evidence before concluding that it had proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. During the ruling, she observed that count 1 was the least contested by Wontumi's lawyers during cross-examination, suggesting the defense had not substantially challenged one of the prosecution's central allegations. The judge also analyzed the defense's argument that there was insufficient documentary evidence linking Wontumi to the offences, but ultimately rejected that position. She further described the absence of a proper corporate governance structure at Akonta Mining as a material factor in her analysis, indicating that the company's internal arrangements did not absolve it or its officials of responsibility. As she reviewed the evidence, the judge referred to the prosecution's allegation that Wontumi allowed an instructed prosecution witness 1 to mine gold on the concession and use the proceeds for reclamation. Wontumi was seen shaking his head in disagreement as that portion of the judgment was read. After considering both the prosecution and defense cases, Justice Kokovite found Chairman Wontumi, Kwame Enchi, and Akonta Mining Company Limited guilty on all 6 counts. After the conviction, Wontumi's lawyers urged the court to impose the statutory minimum sentence of 15 years, arguing that he was a first-time offender, attended court throughout the trial, cooperated with proceedings, and was a law-abiding citizen, and he even employed thousands of Ghanaians and was the breadwinner of his family. Justice Kokovite acknowledged that Wontumi was a first-time offender, but noted that Parliament deliberately prescribed stiff penalties because of the devastating impact of illegal mining on the country. She therefore sentenced him to 20 years imprisonment with hard labor on the substantive count and imposed a fine of 10,000 penalty units equivalent to 120,000 Ghana cedis, with a 3-year default prison term if unpaid. Before delivering the judgment, the judge dismissed an application by Wontumi's legal team to defer the ruling, saying counsel should have informed the court earlier if lead lawyer Samuel Atachia could not attend. She also rejected constitutional argument challenging the wording of the law, holding that those were matters for Parliament rather than the High Court. As the judgment was read, Wontumi was repeatedly seen shaking his head in apparent disagreement. Prison officers and heavily armed police officers were stationed outside the courtroom before escorting him into custody after sentencing. This conviction is different from another criminal case Wontumi is still facing over alleged mining activities inside the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. In that prosecution, the Attorney General alleges that Akunta Mining and its officials carried out or facilitated mining in a protected forest reserve, contrary to Ghana's mining and forestry laws. The matter is still pending before the court and no verdict has been delivered. Wontumi is also facing an entirely separate criminal prosecution involving Ghana Exim Bank. The Attorney General alleges that Wontumi Farms secured about 14.3 million Ghana cedis under an approved agricultural financing facility after presenting a farm proposal that investigators say was never implemented. That case also remains before the High Court, although discussions around a possible plea bargain have previously been disclosed in court. So what happens next? Today's judgment resolves only the Samre Boy concession case. Chairman Wontumi still has the right to appeal both his conviction and sentence. Meanwhile, the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve prosecution and the Exim Bank criminal case remain before the court, meaning today's conviction is unlikely to be the final legal challenge facing the MPP Ashanti Regional Chairman.
Akunta Mining is not engaged in any illegal mining anywhere in Ghana as we speak.